Peace, 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 family. How are you all doing? My name is Keisha. I am the owner of A Way of Life, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm coming on here to talk about the full moon in Aries happening on the 9th or the 10th, depends on wherever you are in the world. Um, Ambivalent about this Aries full moon because on the one hand, on a personal level, this is some dope growth for people. And I always feel like it's hard for us to understand how something that can hurt so bad can be dope. And that's where the ambivalence comes in, you know? Um, so I'm going to try my best to express this so that people get it by starting off with I was listening to somebody else talk about the Aries full moon, as I always do. I'm always listening to somebody or something. And it was very interesting that this person said that, because Aries is related to war and, um, you know, on a lower vibration, Aries can be a pretty devastating, violent energy, right? And it is the ancient creator or ruler of Scorpio. And as most people know, Scorpio energy to be very, you know, devastating, destructive, even lower vibrations like rape and uh, Mars falls under that same category, right? It can be some of those same things, and so this is when I go to the esoteric knowledge, and I say that's a very ignorant statement to say that all people are going to be assuming these really bad things with these energies that are coming up. Both Mars and Scorpio are the heaviest energies from this full moon to the end of the month because then we have the Scorpio eclipse happening at the end of the month. And so they are really one and the same. And because they're happening together, you will hear a lot of other astrologers saying some pretty, outlandish shit because that's what those energies rule. But I think the argument should be where's the in between to that? And are we really being realistic? Like, there's a whole war going on. And I think the ignorant part is that there's a whole war going on. And just because it's not here in America, it's not affecting us. That shit's ignorant. Not to mention America alone, for especially for people of low income who are, fall and fault to the culture, this death culture of America where there's a silent war going on, and so you really have to look at these energies subjectively for you, your life, and your reality. So if I'm saying, Mars can be somebody getting raped or there's going to be violence or a car accident, you have to use your mind and then say, okay, am I involved in these types of things? Are these things possible for me? And that's where, I feel like the confusion comes in when we're talking about these energies because they can be so powerful sometimes and lead us down a path of unrealistic expectations. Not to mention, we do have Neptune playing a role this month in general, which kind of, Neptune is like, let's smooth this out, you know? Can we love on one another and sing Kumbaya? And it's in its own sign of Pisces, which is very powerful energy, but it's also in retrograde. And so another part of this is taking the astrology out and then just looking at history, and being critical thinkers with the history of this country, with the history of the violence of this country, you know, and others, and just history in general. And you want to look at it and be like, oh, okay, so um, America needs to die. I'm sorry. That's just my personal opinion. These people fucking suck at life. They spend most of their time dumbing us down, and keeping us conformed into a box that doesn't allow us to evolve. And we have to be the people who are like the detectives in that way, where we have to be able to see that, to know that, and then have the tools to fight that and, grow against somebody who's intentionally trying to keep us in a position of lack, right? Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much more I can say about that, but I think y'all get where I'm going with this. And it was important for me to start off with this because I don't even think I've touched um any of that energy. I will, but I'm going to do that on IG, because this, you need to know. You need to be able to make the decisions for yourself on how you think this is going to play out. And hopefully that gives you motivation to make decisions in your life that push you to do better. That's pressure, that's Mars, that's also a square, that's energy that we need to understand when it comes to time to make a decision on our life. And like, damn, when you know stuff like that, it makes you think. It challenges you to get out of a rut that you might be stuck in otherwise, had you not seen it that way. If everything was all perfect and peachy creamy and we always sing, like, where does the growth come in from that uh ideology or that thinking? And so, um again, there are a lot of different ways that this can be taken, but I think it's time to be critical thinkers in this and take this information for what it is for you and your reality and the reality that you are trying to build and create for yourself. And that's what I'm gonna say on that. Family, if you want to read it or your weekly horoscope sent to you every week, a week in advance, for just $5 a month, you can sign up to my Patreon page. Um, The link is up here or up here on this side. I never know what side it's on. So, but it's up there at the top. So you can stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. Your weekly horoscope is dedicated specifically to you and your chart so that you can be prepared for what's coming up and you can change your reality. Astrology is not um, meant to be, in stone. There's no imprint there. You do have the free will to make changes and do better in your life. All right. So now that I went on to that whole complete tangent, I'll make sure I timestamp it. So if you just want to skip that part and go right into the other part, you can do so. But I had to get that off my chest because it really made me angry. Like, there are real people who are struggling and going through some shit. That's Mars. That's Scorpio. That shit's gonna intensify with this full moon and the moon at the end of the month. So war can be, spelled in many different ways. Okay. Not everybody has a fucking perfect life where they get to sit on their perch and live their fucking life. So anyway, um, tangent. So, on the 9th of the 10th, wherever you are in the world, this Aries full moon um is going to bring some things uh you see about yourself that are going to be very different. Or you're going to see them in a new light. Even though this is a full moon, you're culminating from the last 6 months with the new moon. So, what did you learn about yourself back then? Um, that you're changing, want to change, or you're trying to grow more within that of what you saw of yourself? How do you get to that next level? Because it could have been just a lot of repeating of the same. This is like when you run into relationships that you left because they were no longer serving you, but you still keep running into the same people, different people, same mentality. and you want to challenge that and change that. That's what this could kind of be a time of with this Aries full moon. And so it's about understanding that Aries is always going to be a reflection of the Aries Libra um um opposite Aries Libra is always going to be about you and how what are people reflecting from you so that you can learn and grow from that. Which is why I've been on my little tangent about being alone and isolating yourself are very different things, right? When you're going through your dark night of the soul, you're grieving, right? If we add intent to it, to being alone and isolating, you doing that for a purpose. 9 times out of 10, it could be like depression. You could have went through something because you saw something about yourself, right? Through this experience that you went through that maybe you didn't like. And it doesn't always have to be bad. This could be that you've done a lot of work and you know you're a stand upright person, but there are experiences in your life that keep happening that you don't understand or why you feel like you can't grow past it. And it's like you have to sit down with that and really analyze and assess why does that keep happening. I'm prone to say you need somebody else to help you see different perspectives. I think that is the most intelligent thing to do. But in this culture that we live in, this death culture, we're not taught to even want to do those types of things. Who do you have that you can turn around to and be like, yo, I just kind of had this experience and it made me feel whatever, and just bouncing ideas off of somebody who's intelligent enough to do that, right? If you don't even have a business or you're not speaking to somebody who is intelligent or have a friend like that in your life, um, most likely you're speaking to somebody who's not of education, but just somebody to bounce ideas off. I think that's very dangerous. I think it's dangerous. I think it's good, it's helpful, it's a start, but I think we need mentorship. I think we need people of high stature where you just don't go read a fucking article to talk to or get advice from somebody that's educated. And then on top of that, we don't, as people, as everyday people, appreciate knowledge at all. We're doing a lot of regurgitation at this time, believing things on face value from people who don't have any education, knowledge, or high stature. And I think most people are going to have all kinds of reasons to why that is. I'm not here to blame anybody or talk about anybody. That's just the truth. That's what it is. I think the problem is that, or how we got to that point, is because everything's a business now. You can't see somebody unless you have money to do so. If you don't have money, you can't do it, but we don't value money. We're all consumers, right? And there's this whole trickle down effect that's it's kind of put us in a box, even if we really don't want to be in a box. And so, I mean, I could say so much about this. I don't want to be on here for 800 hours, but I think the bottom line is like, um, be intentional with your isolation. It's necessary for you to learn who you are and accept what you're going through and what you're learning about yourself. And then there's another part to that. Then you have to go outside and be like, okay, so I picked up some few tools while I was in my dark night of the soul, isolation, whatever you want to call it. And now you have to go out and deal with people. Of course, now you have a little bit more control over that, right? Who you let in your life, who you speak to, and why. These are all going to be kind of the themes that are going to be coming up for this entire full moon at this time, where we're going to be, it's going to be really, really highlighted. Like we're always doing this anyways, but now it's going to be super like, we're, we're going to be narrowed into it. Like, and it might be some stuff that you see that you're like, okay, maybe I can change the way that I do this so that I can get the results that I want. Or again, you need to open up Change the way you think. Understand that there are two, this language we have here on this earth, and then there's the truth, right? And the truth of this language here on earth is that this death culture that's given to us is not ours. And so you always have to decipher between the two, and be realistic about that, especially when it comes to building your dreams and who it is you want to be in this world. What kind of leadership are you providing? Just knowing your lane and being able to stay there. This is all about the self. This is all about what Aries rules, right? Um, you're gonna have to be vulnerable because a lot of this stuff that's coming up right now is deep. Um, you're going to want deeper connections and with others. And it can be really emotionally satisfying. We're talking about the moon here. I call this pillow talk. It's always really good to have somebody who you can just tell all your secrets to, right? And have that safe haven space where you feel safe no matter what. That allows you to be vulnerable. And when you're in this vulnerable state, trust me, you're gonna start to see and feel things in very different ways, especially because this full moon is conjunct Chiron, which means the things that are coming up are things that, we've been made to feel alienated from or for, or have been pushed away for. It's removing the false ego, where there's an alternate route, but in order to get there, you're going to have to be courageous and independent to achieve it, right? Um, there are going to be some very emotional responses to this from other people right now. Like, let me help you, let me fix it, let's talk about it. I can't help you if you don't talk about it. Um, if you are not actively healing and open to allowing others to help you, it can be very difficult to connect with others at this time. And that's with this Scorpio energy coming up. I'm telling you, you don't want to be on this end of that energy, that downward energy going into this time, because it can feel like it's going to last longer. It can feel like you're falling into an abyss. It can feel, I mean, it's really dreadful, lonely, and it can be painful when it doesn't have to be. It's almost like you're getting in your own way of your success. You are allowing fear to run your life. Stop running. Bring light to the darkness. And the only way you can do that is if you talk about it. You have to let that stuff out. And if you've tried other things and things still aren't working, it's time to up the ante, because you got about 10,000 other things coming for you to keep you down anyway. So you got to push back 10, 20 times harder in order to fight through this. And it has to be consistent. You have to commit to it and dedicate yourself to that process. Um, I do feel like that Libra energy, you have more support, more people being concerned with helping you talk through your wounds. Um, so now is just a better time to talk about anything. And then you have Aries, which rules your independent things that you're doing on your own. Aries is a leader and a pioneer, and you have to trust yourself to take something for wherever this is happening for you. So you already know cardinal signs you're going to feel this the most. That's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Unfortunately, you're going to have a lot more squares to this energy. Um, and there's a part of me that's like, damn, that sucks. But there's a silver lining with this, I still think. That you're going to learn something about yourself through this process. And it depends on where you're at and when you're going to learn it. Some of you are probably already very aware of whatever this is for you. But I think the hard part is that It's going to be intense, right? That's the struggle with this. But you can change that reality by opening up and being more vulnerable to talk things through. Now, if you're already on a higher vibration as a cardinal sign, I just don't think you're going to feel it that way, but you might have a lot of people drawn to you where they want help from you. And then you have that choice to pick and choose whether or not you want to help this person. You have to remember Chiron in general, but Chiron and Aries together is about when I was going through something, where was you at? And so when you have control to make a decision about something, this can show up like people coming to you saying, you know what, you was right about something that you was trying to show me or tell me at some time ago. Um, people people no longer want to fight. They're gonna put the red flag down, they're gonna put the green flag up, and they want to forget what has happened, let things go, and they want to be allowed back into your life and your good graces. Um, and the people who are on higher vibrations, I don't think they're going to accept it. And that's going to be another part of this that can be really hard because you're going to have to say no to a situation that you know more than anybody in this world what it's like having to have gone through what somebody else is probably going to be coming to you for. That's one way I see this, another way, rather. And that's just going to be hard. But it's going to be up to you to make that decision on how much you give into these specific things around, holding people accountable to respect your space, right? Because you've healed now. You're a little level up now. Um, and I think that goes to especially people who are trying to start their businesses and they're not getting the support or the growth, whether it's because of lack of income, a lack of interaction, a lack of networking, or whatever it is. The people who quote unquote support you but don't like your stuff, don't share your stuff, or you put your things off like instead of just sharing somebody's information, you say, "Hey, I seen this and this, thought you might be interested in it." Even that is a form of I'm only going to do so much for somebody and not be giving of all things in a sense. And I hope that that makes sense. But business and entrepreneurship and self-employment are going to be really big roles in how this stuff is going to be playing out too, especially in this reality where business and employment are such high value here. And so the paradigm to that is shifting where people want to be alone or not have a boss or nobody to listen to. You really need to pay attention and be mindful of what you're asking for when you do that, and make sure you keep in mind on your success through this journey of how much you helped somebody else when they started their own business. And now you want to be on this journey, but you're only willing to give so much to help somebody else. Think about that. Even if it's because of your ignorance and you don't really know what it means to be supportive, quote unquote. Um, just know that karma always goes 360. That's how I'm gonna say with that. People need to give as much as they're gonna get, and that shit comes from that low ass fucking vibrational thinking of I want to be alone. I can do this on my own. No, the fuck you can't. Everybody needs somebody. And you need to know what role you're going to play when you're thinking about taking this fucking role. If you know you have absolutely no good intentions for a specific person, then don't support them. Don't be around them. In fact, you can delete yourself from my motherfucking page now because this shit is going to be real. This is going to be a test to your authenticity when it comes to how you really help people, how much you're really willing to support people. Are you a good friend? Or are you just a sometimes friend because you got some shit boiling up underneath you about how you feel about somebody else or what somebody doesn't do for you? Have you asked them and had a conversation about it? Are you being real, open, and honest about your expectations, about the things that you're looking for the people that you allow into your life? And it has to be an honest assessment. And I think you need somebody outside of yourself to have that conversation with if you're going to be holding people accountable for that, because you can end up getting yourself right back into a cycle of going nowhere fast in your goals and wondering why you're struggling because you're not really being authentic and you're not asking for help. You're not having other conversations with intelligent people. You don't respect intelligence. You think if you're going to school or getting your life together or getting counseling or doing that, that's not cool. That's not the culture. Yeah. Well, y'all got a reality check coming to you right the fuck now with this energy. I'm telling you, it's going to be right in your face with those questions. So be real careful on how you treat people and what you think you're giving when you're not. And then you asking for shit and wondering why you ain't getting it because you fucking suck. That's why a lot of people do. And it's because you're not open to getting help. You can't change your life thinking on the same thinking patterns that got you into the condition that's not getting you anywhere. So I'm sorry, I just went to the left with that, but whatever. I think it's just funny. Anyways, so we could be looking back at March and integrating what we learned about our relational skills. This can be with mothers, grandmothers, nurturers, carers, our roots, the past, and our home and family life. Those themes could come up real heavy. We can even be having a lot of conversations about who we are as nurturers, who we are as mothers, and especially our home and family life and the roots and past things that have come with that to get us to where we're at today. Those things need major reconsideration and talking about and a whole lot more. But so we'll have I think I did horoscopes on this grand air trine that we're having. That's going to be really, really amazing because air signs are about getting to solutions and resolutions to things. And so Mars will trine Saturn, Mars in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius. And then Saturn's going to sextile the moon in Aries. This is stability, direction, clarity, and understanding of what works and what needs to be done. And then you have Sun trine Mars, which will create a kite. If you're looking at an astrology chart, there'll be a kite there, which is new beginnings to all of these bigger conversations that we're having, or actually realizations that we're having. And then Mercury later in the month will, I think it's on the 23rd, don't quote me on that, moves into Libra, which adds to that grand air trine with more ideas, more conversations, and plans, actual action steps towards those things. Yeah. And so this can come up like if you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship, it doesn't have to be romantic, although the Aries Libra access, I'm telling you right now, this is relationships, romantic relationships, marriages even. Um, there can be a lot of it's not you, it's me, because there's something deeper underneath the surface that's not being fulfilled here. And I think that's between the freedom that people want to be whoever they are with that Chiron and Aries, right? Without being judged, right? And then the support in all of that I don't think we get like that. I even think marriages are going to change drastically over the next few years or so. I'm still surprised, to be honest with you, that people are actually really getting married still today in this age because of the I want to say there's no real meaning in these marriages today, especially if you haven't done the healing work and you're just, I feel like it's a compromise or an acceptance that there's going to be at least five or more things that you're not going to get out of that relationship. So you're settling basically when you get married, to me, in my point of view. Because everybody always has one view of what marriage is, which is built off of this culture, this death culture that is meant to keep you down, uh, restricted, and on this low level of thinking. And then you have the other side to that, which is what people really want. And I think for a lot of us, we just accept most of that. And you're not going to get everything you want in one relationship. So there's some acceptance that needs to happen, but at what cost at the end of the day? You know, especially think about the people who got married simply because they had kids together. Was it an honorable thing? Absolutely honorable. But for who? And now you got years down the line of people in relationships who, I don't know who the hell I married. And there's so much I can say about this. I'm so ambivalent about this whole conversation, but um I feel like people are tired of sacrificing their deeper needs, emotional and otherwise, intimacy and sexually, for the sake of being peaceful and harmonious with that Libra energy. I think we're all trapped in relationships that we're unfulfilled in because we don't know who the fuck we are, you know? And that's just my personal opinion. But it also speaks to, the rate of, or lack thereof, why people are still single or have been single for so long, which still goes back to that culture and knowing, being able to know the difference between the two. And that's hard when you know a lot of us, so many of us are kind of, we're lost. And we really believe that this reality exists and that it's doing something for us. I think it's harder for those people who've come to the realization that this is a false reality, but you still have to build a true reality within that. It's not easy. Um, it's like the subliminal messages that you just don't pick up because of the symbolisms there, and you really think that, oh, this is me. They understood me. There's a connection here. Is there? You know, is it really? I don't know. We don't have good relationship skills, and we're not asking the right questions. I think that was the first thing that I learned starting my dating page when I'm going through all the content. I was like, whoa, wait a minute now. I didn't know that part. And so I learned a lot just by way of um, doing that dating site for about relationships and how deeper this is, more, even more so about this idea about being alone. We are out of balance. We're out of balance because we're not taking risks. We're missing out on opportunities because we think in our minds that if we separate ourselves from the things that make us uncomfortable, that's peace, that's freedom. But it's not, because you're not learning anything and nothing has changed. And you put yourself in a cycle. There has to be a balance between this idea of singledom and connecting with others. And once you gain power through your singledom, then you're supposed to explore and network out into the world. This is why it's bad that you think that only you're only your sun sign. You are not. Your core three are your sun, moon, and your rising, and that's just mind, body, soul. You are all 12 signs. And if you're not looking at all 12 signs and how you operate within those signs, that's worse than saying 50-50. Just your sun sign, you're giving yourself 3%. So now you're 3% of a person and you're out here operating, making decisions off of that knowledge. Are you fucking serious? I mean, you choose. You choose. Um, this stuff is really deep, and you have to have other people to reflect off of to know how far you've grown. You have to be, and it can get tricky if you are actually succeeding, you got money, you can live a certain life, because then you think you made it. And it's like there's still some things that need to be questioned there too. But, that's a whole other story. Um, we're rejecting what's superficial about relationships, or connecting with others in general. That is the mission and purpose of this entire month. And most people think that that's going to change with Scorpio energy because, again, nobody really has the relational conversation about Scorpio energy. I just did a video of Mars and Scorpio, and I think I talked about it more from an emotional perspective. Is Scorpio energy low key? Um, Vampire-esque energy? Sure, yeah, there's a dark and light sign to every single sign. But I learned something over this summer about Scorpio energy that I've never seen in this way before. And I think it's very important that we understand what boundaries look like and what it means to give away your energy. And again, going back to now, you can control, once you have your power and knowledge of self, it's not about intentionally keeping your energy to yourself just because. I'm telling you right now, that is an ignorant way to think. Especially if, again, I'm going to use business as an example. If you have a business and you know exactly where it is you're not doing so well, it's because you have to give something to get something. Just like you need money to make money, you have to interact and connect with anybody who you feel like is doing something for you. And at any given time, you have pause about, well, I'm only gonna support them for this part because I don't like everything about them, and but I'm not saying that's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying if you feel like that about somebody, then you need to just let that person go, because at that point there's something deeper going on that has nothing to do with that person, because you can't control that person. That person at that point is reflecting something about you that you clearly need to change. And so if you're making a decision to intentionally not interact with somebody for any reason, I don't give a damn what it is. You need to be honest about that. Make a decision to let that person go and deal with your fucking issues, right? Because now what you're doing is stopping somebody else from being great in their business because you're not being fully supportive. And you know and understand that when you have your own business and you need support. If you're struggling with that, it's because something else deeper down within inside of you needs to be realized. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope that I'm making sense. I feel like I'm being really mean right now because it's pissing me off on how much we've been sold into this culture but don't realize it. Even the quote unquote woke people, because those will be the first people who will be like, oh no, I don't fuck with this person and I don't fuck with that person because of some energetic, fancy fucking word reason, right? And that's great. But that's only half the fucking story. Even people who are in spiritual businesses and doing the things that they do need support. You know what I'm saying? So I think people really need to like be a little bit more realistic about why things aren't really going so well in this world, and take a look in the mirror to see where you're helping that reality be a reality. You have to understand that that's going to have something to do with you, because you are the people, you make the world go round. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing or interacting in a specific way, you are keeping what you're doing is helping the reality that's not helping us stay alive. So you're not fighting, you're not in the war, you're not protecting yourself, you're not being honest, you're not changing, you're not evolving. That means you're not loving on yourself, because you deserve that spiritual ideology that people are so connected to when we talk spirituality. Anyways, another tangent. Okay. Okay. Um, I do think that these are relatable experiences. So don't be hard on yourself. You will find people who are going through similar things and be able to share with them, especially with the Libra energy. You'll be deepening relationships, connections, partnerships, romantic relationships, and friendships at this time. Um, with the Sun and Libra conjunct Venus in Libra. Um, mhm. Yes, you're going to be ready to open up and let people into your world. And there are things that you're ready to share. If you are too much in your own energy, then other people can give you other perspectives and other things to look at. And then Mercury and Virgo will trine Pluto and Capricorn. Um, this can definitely be more support, direction, maybe a little bit of criticism here with Virgo, but something that we've already been through with the Mercury retrograde, um, that helps us uh, challenge the patterns and habits that we have around our projects. We'll have a lot more mental focus and concentration with this energy to get things to its rightful place. This is the ability to look at something to see what it needs, how to solve it, and what are the next steps. Um, and you'll be completing something with powerful communication and a greater understanding of yourself. I do like that energy, especially seeing as Pluto's being the ruler of Scorpio, which is that eclipse energy that's coming up. Um, I find it hard to believe that everybody's on that path. I really do. I'm sorry. Um, and then Mercury moves into Libra, which I talked about already. Okay. So that's my thoughts for this energy, for this Aries and full moon. I'm not doing horoscopes. I thought about doing eclipse horoscopes, but I did them for my clients, and that's all that I'm willing to do them for at this time energetically. I'm tired of giving and giving and giving, and then you don't get no support back. Um, so if you want your horoscope, again, you can become a Patreon member. And you'll get that stuff automatically. You don't even have to ask for it. It'll be sent to you at the time. I sent my eclipse horoscopes out to my clients in September. Um, and that comes with a weekly horoscope for the energies that's happening for them. So they get a chance to stay well informed about what's going on for them and continues to grow. And you have access to me if you're a part of the Patreon. You can call me and ask questions, personal questions about your chart and how things might be relating to the energies that are coming up, specific to what I'm telling you in your horoscopes. And we'll map stuff out. We'll figure things out. So um I thought about doing the yearlies too, but to be quite frank, right now, just where I'm at mentally, I'm done. I'm even thinking about changing my page because I feel like the people that I'm connected to right now, they're just of non-service to me intentionally. I think it's being done intentionally. And so, in order for me to change my mind and test that theory, I think I'm going to try a whole new page. I'm not even going to tell anybody what I'm naming it. If you find me, you find me. If you don't, then this wasn't meant for you. Um, I think I need to do that for my own mental stability too, to make sure I'm not making shit up because this energy can really make you feel like um, um, alienated to the point where you're delusional about what's really happening, right? Because people do have real life shit going on. We all do, and we have to be cognizant of that too. And this is why it's important to try different things, find different theories and solutions before you make a complete decision about your life and what it is you're experiencing. Ask questions to the people. Are you really my friend? Because if you were, you would share my shit. Okay. And maybe there's a reason why people aren't. So I say that to say, good luck with this energy. I really hope that this stuff finds you well as usual, family. I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.